Hi everyone, this is Dana, and welcome to episode 35 of If This Car Could Talk. Every week we strive to bring you feature cars that have a lot of heart and a real cool story, and this last Sunday's spotlight was on a very unusual feature car. You may recall that it's an accurate replica of KITT from the 1980s television show called Knight Rider. Check out last Sunday's feature with enthusiastic owner Kimberly Pritchett's K.I.T.T replica if you missed it or want to see it again. If you don't subscribe to our channel yet, you really should. It's free and will ensure that you never miss any of our twice-weekly videos. This episode will offer a brief history of all things Knight Rider. At the end of the video, tell me in the comment section what you think, and let me know what TV show or movie car influenced you the most and why. After the Batmobile became a real character on the 1960s television series Batman, it was quite evident that the people in charge of these productions took notice. Soon afterwards, many shows, like The Rockford Files and Starsky and Hutch, along with movies featuring vehicles that many fans couldn't see enough of, and one reason they tuned in every week or went to the cinema. Don't believe it? Then go to eBay and see how much merchandise was marketed to satisfy the demand for memorabilia. At the time, many of these cars were so hot. Many of the different character cars are still popular today, and this associated vintage and even sometimes new retro merchandise commands premium prices. KITT is no different. Let's start by giving you a brief summary of the premise behind this very popular TV show, which ran for 4 seasons, over 5 calendar years, and gave its legions of loyal fans 84 exciting but usually a bit far-fetched, but still fun episodes. Knight Rider was conceived to resemble a modern version of the Lone Ranger. Of course, this character was very popular on 1950s television sets across America. But the Ranger's humble origins go back to the 1930s when kids of all ages would turn into his radio show. A mysterious individual, aided primarily by his beloved ride, fights private battles against crime and injustice. In 1982, an unknown actor named David Hasselhoff, who until then was only playing small roles on various TV shows, burst onto the scene as the star of a new weekly NBC series, which aired on Friday nights. Hasselhoff would play the main character, Michael Knight. On this innovative, at least for the time it certainly was, fantasy vehicle-oriented TV show called Knight Rider, to rival the immensely popular The Dukes of Hazzard, seen every week on the CBS network. It had already been airing to big weekly viewership since 1979, and would continue to be a fan favorite through its final season in 1985. KITT, K-I-T-T, was originally conceived and designed by the late fictional Wilton Knight, a brilliant and eccentric billionaire who had unlimited financial resources to bring his dream to life. As the founder of the Foundation for Law and Government, or FLAG, and its parent company, named Knight Industries, this company had financial resources to develop a car like KITT. The acronym was short for Knight Industries 2000, and in a later production, after the original series ended, Knight Industries 3000. As the story goes, KITT's main cybernetic processor was first installed in a mainframe computer, covertly used by the United States government in Washington, D.C., but Wilton Knight ultimately saw a better use for this technology by adapting it to KITT. He knew this would be a far better use in FLAG's crime-fighting agenda, and eventually the system would be installed in the vehicle KITT. It was actually the second vehicle built by Knight Industries with artificial intelligent capabilities. His predecessor was the Knight Automated Roving Robot, or the acronym CAR, and was programmed mostly for its own self-preservation, but this proved to be dangerous to the Foundation's real interests. CAR was later deactivated and placed in storage while KITT was given to his new operator, Michael Knight. The new identity of Michael Long, a former law enforcement officer who faked his death so that he could fight crime in an entirely new way with KITT as his partner. CAR would later become his nemesis. Unlike CAR, KITT is programmed primarily to protect Michael and all other human life at all costs. This is made clear in the pilot episode when Michael asks the head of FLAG, also known as Devon Miles, if KITT will actually protect anyone driving it. Miles replies that KITT's primary function is the preservation of any and all human life, and Michael's in particular. KITT is the only car to date that has shown human emotion. Some of his friends include main characters Michael Knight and his father-like Knight Industries head, Devin Miles. Bonnie Barstow joined the group shortly after KITT was created, but not yet perfected. She was responsible for repairing, modifying, and upgrading his systems, and was responsible for creating Super Pursuit mode. She was most often seen traveling with Flag's mobile unit. By the looks of it, she was a highly skilled mechanic and was often upset with Michael about his perceived lack of care for KITT. She left the show under the guise of attending graduate school. Soon she was replaced by April Curtis for only one season, after which Bonnie returned. April led the design team and performed all of KITT's needs and technological duties, and soon became the indispensable personal assistant to Devin Miles. April quickly proved to be the excellent Knight Industries system engineer in her own right. Finally, Reginald Cornelius III, whom Michael met in 1985, after RC3 was chasing after some bank robbers in Chicago, and caught the attention of Michael and KITT. The crime-fighting duo assisted him, and RC3 also managed to scare off 2 car thieves that were attempting to steal KITT. During this melee, KITT was damaged, and RC3 took it to his father's garage for a 24-hour rebuild with his friends, who were evidently very adept at making repairs and bodywork. Unbeknownst to Bonnie, Michael, or KITT at the time, RC3 builds a new feature into KITT, known as the convertible mode. This was in addition to over 50 other necessary crime-fighting features, like tear gas launcher, a flamethrower, and a money dispenser, to name a few. Many of these features were developed as the series progressed. To hardcore fans of the show, it's obvious that I only touched on a basic plot premise, but in the interest of brevity, my synopsis should suffice. This show has definitely become a pop culture phenomenon, and its fans are now multi-generational. It has stood the test of time, and interest in all things Knight Rider, or particularly KITT, are stronger than ever. After the TV show was retired, several sequels were also produced, where the story of Michael and his beloved KITT continue to entertain their fan base. As mentioned, the show starred David Hasselhoff as Michael Knight. Other cast members were Edward Mulhare as Devin Miles, Patricia McPherson as Bonnie Barstow, Rebecca Holden as April Curtis, Peter Peros as RC3, Richard Basehart narrated each episode, and William Daniels, who was never credited at the time, was the voice of KITT. But we all know who the real star of the show was, a 1982 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. This new body style was the third generation of these cars and their Chevrolet Camaro cousins. This basic platform was available from 1982 through 1992. How it came to be that this car was selected is a very intriguing story. Some may be folklore, some may be legend, but most of it's true. Eric Dahlquist, the then president of Pontiac's West Coast Public Relations Agency, was informed that Pontiac had agreed to supply 3 fully loaded black Trans Ams for a new television show. They were freshly built at GM's nearby Van Nuys plant. Incredibly, Pontiac originally turned down the Knight Rider deal. Pontiac sales promotion manager at the time, Jim Graham, didn't like the idea of the show. He thought it was silly and corny, and he didn't want Pontiac to be associated with anything like it. It was only 5 years earlier that Graham was credited with placing a Trans Am in Smokey and the Bandit, which turned out to be the most successful automotive product placement of all time. So Graham knew the impact that a good product placement could have on the new Firebird design. These initial 3 cars were needed immediately for a new light-hearted action-adventure crime drama series called Knight Rider, and those Pontiac Trans Ams, allegedly obtained under rather unorthodox circumstances, proved to be one of the most successful automotive product placements of all time. Because Pontiac was struggling badly by the early 1980s, a winning product placement would certainly change things. Pontiac's new general manager, Bill Hogland, was hedging that the all-new 1982 Firebird could and would single-handedly jumpstart the brand. Taking all this into consideration, Dahlquist naturally assumed that Graham would quickly approve the project. Dahlquist had already mentioned it to Pontiac's chief design engineer, John Chanella, and Los Angeles zone manager, John Kitzmiller, and both were in favor of the product placement. There was so much enthusiasm for it, despite Graham's opposition, that Dahlquist pressed on. In the early summer of 1981, it was mentioned to Pontiac bigwig Hoagland, and he was also very supportive of the idea. Hoagland said he wouldn't overrule Graham, but if Dahlquist couldn't make it happen, he would sign the paperwork. That fall, with help of all the people in the right place that wanted to make this happen, including some influential dealers across the country who all agreed it was needed to boost sales, the manager of the Van Nuys assembly plant stated that if more cars were needed, if the show was a success, the cars would have to come out of dealer allocations, which everyone agreed to. As all this was going on, key decision makers met to discuss the look of the new car called KITT. Chanella would provide detailed drawings, and with the cars finally in hand, they were quickly shipped to John Ward's custom shop in nearby Agua Dulce to receive the required modifications, which took 6 weeks to complete. This vehicle's high-tech interior was mostly designed by Michael Scheffé, a toy maker for Mattel. Scheffé and his crew were given only 2 weeks from design to completion before shooting would begin. One car was barely completed in time because they had no time to order any custom parts. Thus, the team had to purchase materials locally or fabricate items themselves with equipment and materials on hand. By the last episode, it's said that 23 cars in total were built. To keep up with Bo and Luke Duke, 2 of these cars were modified just for jumps. They were given a lightweight fiberglass body, stock car quality suspensions and shock absorbers, and powerful engine. Each one weighed only about 1,500 pounds to make the jumps easier. The remaining cars, however, were relegated to the stunt car fleet. There was only one hero car, which was used for the non-stunt and close-up scenes with Michael. The cars were sold by Pontiac to the studio for $1, but it would take an additional $18,000 to transform a standard TA into KITT. Although it was a Trans Am, several kits were of the standard variety. The original concept was to be called K.I.T.T, or Trans Am 2000. It was later decided that K.I.T.T was more aligned to the show's somewhat complicated and intricate storyline. In the end, it was all meant to be. Knight Rider became a huge hit, and KITT helped Pontiac sell a lot more third-generation Firebirds than they probably would have. Well, thanks for watching this episode of If This Car Could Talk. I hope you enjoyed it and will consider subscribing to this channel so you never miss one of our twice-weekly videos. Be sure to tune in next Sunday when we bring you another Pontiac that started the whole Trans Am craze clear back in 1969. This one's the genuine article, and owner Mike Bramer drives it often and drives it hard. Until then, stay safe out there.